Hello everybody. Did you know that Gwent from The Witcher 3 is getting a physical board game / card game release later this year? It's called Gwent, the Legendary Card Game, and it is going to be Gwent from The Witcher 3 exactly as it was in the box. But the developers No Loading Games have recently announced some different game modes, some different deck building restrictions where you've got different ways of playing the game, including multiplayer formats. We're going to be covering all of the details today, and if you want to see more content on Gwent, the Legendary Card Game, you should subscribe to this channel because I am going to be playing the absolute living daylights out of this when it is released. I used to be a caster for Gwent, the Witcher card game, which was the multiplayer online version of Gwent. I live and breathe Gwent, and I'm so excited for this. So we've got two articles to look at from No Loading Games, the developers, and this first one is covering the different rules. So there is going to be 3 dual 1v1 play modes. You've got Initiation, Classic, and Advanced. Classic mode is what you would expect. It's exactly Witcher 3 Gwent. You've got 1 leader card, you've got 22 unit and hero cards, and 10 special cards. And if you're wondering how do you get this, basically you're just going to buy a box. You're going to buy a box, so you're going to get every single card from The Witcher 3 in the box. You're going to get a board as well. So all you're going to need is 1 box of it, and you're going to be able to play 1v1 modes. You're going to need a friend, which for some of you might be hard, but if you've got a friend, you've just got 1 box between you, you can enjoy all of these modes. Although, of course, if you both wanted to play Northern Realms, that might then be an issue, right? But there's going to be the option of multiplayer modes as well, which we're going to cover. So classic mode is just Gwent from The Witcher 3, which might sound really fun, and I'm sure it will be. But what about people like me that want to see if they could maybe even compete at Gwent tournaments? I'm not sure that's going to be that compelling. And the reason for that is that Gwent from The Witcher 3 is a single player experience. The more you play, the better and more powerful your cards become. And therefore, if me and my opponent are both playing these incredibly strong cards, like the 15 power cards, there's not really that much intrigue, there's not really that much strategy. But what No Loading Games have done is, with the different modes, they've put deck building restrictions into the game, which means for someone like me that's really into competitive play, I'm really excited to see how these rules might impact the game. But initiation mode is basically like starter decks. If you play a TCG, a trading card game, a lot of the products you'll be able to get as a new player is just a pre-constructed deck, which you can just take out of the wrapping paper and play. And Gwent's also going to have that with its initiation mode. For newcomers to Gwent or players who prefer a quick setup, initiation mode simplifies deck building. There's pre-built decks for each faction, and you can jump straight into the action. So that's really cool. It's going to be obviously one for each different faction, and you're going to be good to go. I think that's going to be a great way to start. So you've got the initiation mode, which is probably the first way you're going to play outside the box. You've got the classic mode, which is where you're going to be able to build your own deck and try and build the strongest deck. But the mode I am most excited for, by an absolute country mile, is the advanced mode. And this is for players who want an extra challenge. Advanced mode adds constraints on the composition of the deck. When playing in advanced mode, a deck must consist of 1 leader card, so that's the same. 22 unit and hero cards minimum, that is also the same. 5 special cards maximum, so that you can only play, a few weathers, Commander's Horn, Decoy, all these kind of cards. You're not just going to be able to play the 10, which is in the other modes. 2 spy cards maximum and 2 medic cards maximum. And oh my goodness, this is music to my ears. Many of you that have played The Witcher 3 Gwent will know how strong the spies were, right? You're going to play a spy, someone's going to decoy the spy, and then they're going to play the spy, and then play the spy, and then play the spy. Like, that's fun when you're playing in a single player experience, but that doesn't necessarily sound like the most compelling competitive experience. So limiting the amount of spy cards and medic cards that you can have in your deck, because those are inherently some of the strongest cards, I think is a great addition. But that's not the only restriction. Oh no, the last restriction is the most important of all, in my opinion. The total power of the deck cannot be over 130, which means if you've got a card like Geralt, who's like 15 power, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Geralt here, 15 power, he's going to make the rest of your deck inherently worse, right? You're going to have to try and find that balance between good cards, but like, not if you're including Geralt and you include a ton of Geralts, which you couldn't do anyway, but let's say you could, then you're going to have some really bad cards. So there's actually deck building skill involved. How do you get that balance right? And that, for me, is really important because, again, Gwent from The Witcher 3 was designed as a single player experience. So I think having these optional rules for people that want to try and take it a little bit more seriously, like myself, is going to be great news. And there's some really interesting dynamics of that, right? Because at the moment, you can only play 2 spy cards in the advanced mode, but the best spy is like a -1, I think, or maybe it's even a 0, Avalak. But suddenly, if you've got like a spy that's like a -7, that's actually going to make the rest of your deck more powerful, which actually means that there's some interesting dynamics of like, what spy do you select? It's not just like I'm going to pick this spy, it's the best one. It's very, very interesting for that reason as well. The medic cards, many of you will remember, are those cards which can bring back cards from your discard and replay them. So you're limited to 2 of those. You're limited to 2 of the spies, 5 specials, and you're also limited at 130 power maximum. But there is another rule set which got announced in a more recent article, which we're going to be taking a look at now, and that is tournament mode. Now, they also announced the 2v2 mode, which we're of course going to look at, but tournament mode is for those looking to triumph as the ultimate Gwent winner. Rules will follow advanced mode with a twist. You will have to prove your mastery by playing multiple decks. So before starting a tournament battle of Gwent, each player must build 3 decks from 3 different factions. And for this reason, we recommend each player having their own copy of Gwent, the legendary card game. So if you're wanting to play tournament mode, you're probably going to need your own box of Gwent, right? Like for all the other modes, you can just have one box for 2 people, you're good to go. But if you're really wanting to take it seriously, you wanted to compete at events, which there might be, we don't actually know yet, but the fact there's a tournament mode means there could potentially be a competitive Gwent circuit. We'll have to see, but you're probably recommended to have your own box for that. Before the start of a tournament battle of Gwent, you build 3 decks from 3 different factions, and each deck must be composed of the same different things, but you have to have 3 different factions. To start, toss a coin to decide which player chooses their deck first, and once both players have chosen, proceed through the game with all the standard rules. So, you pick Northern Realms, Monsters, and Skellige. I pick the same 3, let's say. We flip a coin. You won the coin flip. Congratulations. You say, I'm going to pick Northern Realms. Then I could say, okay, I'm going to play Northern Realms as well, or I'm going to play Monsters. Whichever deck I think would have a good matchup into your one, I would be able to choose. But then for the second and third game, so let's say I win game 1. The second and third game, the winner of the previous game must change their deck and will select it first. So let's say I win game 1. And I then pick Northern Realms. Well, you could pick Monsters now, and because that might be a good matchup for you. And then you win game 2. And then for game 3, the winner of the previous game must change their deck and select it first. The loser can keep or change deck. And the person who wins 2 out of 3 full games is the tournament winner. So this is very similar to the same competitive style of gameplay we used for Gwent, the Witcher card game, which was an online digital version of Gwent. But it's called Conquest format, but this is slightly different. In Conquest format, you pick 3 decks, but at the start of the game, you ban one of your opponent's decks, and then it's the first to win with both of their decks, right? This is actually slightly different because you don't need to win with all 3 of your decks. You pick 3, but you only actually need to win with 2 of them. You never ban one of your opponent's decks. So it's a pretty interesting dynamic. I do quite like it because if you're flipping a coin at the start, whoever wins the coin flip is at a severe disadvantage. But the fact you only need to win with 2 out of your 3, it means that you still have some flexibility. And there's definitely a lot of strategy, therefore, going to be involved in picking the best lineup of decks. You want things that can do different things. And honestly, I'm pretty damn excited about the potential of it. I'm pretty impressed. But that's not the only new modes. Oh no, because what about 2v2 mode? Now, funnily enough, I already had this idea. I was like, okay, well, if we're having Gwent as a physical game, what's going to stop us from having multiplayer Gwent, right? And, well, nothing, because it's actually being supported directly out of the box. Have you ever wished you could bring a friend to help you during a game of Gwent? When playing 2v2, you can team up with a player and battle against another duo. So this is from a 2v2 match at the Festival of Cannes, and I actually believe it was a couple of friends of mine, some French content creators that were playing. I was very, very jealous. Big shout out to Max and Ruffalus. very cool French content creators that I was watching play Gwent, and I was very, very jealous. There are some advantages to playing with a teammate. When playing in a duo, your teammate cannot play the same faction as you. You will share the same army on the board. You will also share a discard pile and gem counters. If you're not sure what gem counters are, we're going to cover that. You can look at your teammate's hand. What strategic play will you discuss together? And every card played adds to your team's total power. When turn taking, teams will alternate between the turns and each team plays one at a time. For example, A and A2 are a team battling against B and B2. So A1 plays first, and then it's B1's turn, and then it's A2's turn, and it's yours. So if it's me and my mate, I play first, then you play, then my mate plays, then your mate plays. All right, cool. And if a player passes, their teammate can keep playing. That's very, very fascinating. So the gems are basically how many rounds you win. In Gwent, you need to win 2 out of 3 rounds. So 2v2 sounds wonky, but very interesting. And I think it's great that they're actually just supporting this concept out of the box. It's also worth noting that you could do this with just one box of Gwent, right? You've got one box of Gwent, you've got your 5 factions, 4 different factions. You wouldn't be able to do mirror matchups. So if there's like one faction that's way stronger than the rest and you wanted to do this like competitively, it might be more wise to have 2 boxes. So you could both play monsters, for example, if like both teams want a monster deck, sure, but you could still just do this with one single box, which I think is great. So it suddenly turns this one box of Gwent into something you can play 1v1, but something you can play with 4 players as well. And I think that is really awesome for what is essentially a board game. There's a lot of depth to this, and I'm very, very excited about it. They're not messing about. So there's like a little graphic for the turn taking. Some abilities will also be used differently in this mode. Medic can be used to recall a unit from your team's discard pile. So you could use a medic to revive one of your teammates' cards. Commander's Horn affects the team's units on the line, everything. So that sounds very strong because it's going to double everything on the line, both you and your teammates, which therefore should be more cards than average. Decoy can target a unit played by you or your partner. Monster ability, the card that stays in play must be a monster card or an enemy spy. Nilfgaard ability, if Nilfgaard is used by both teams, this power is null. Scoia'tael ability, if Scoia'tael is used by both teams, you flip a coin among the Scoia'tael players to decide who chooses the starting player. The Skellige ability is the cards brought back into play must be Skellige cards or enemy spies. And Amaris, the White Flame, cancels all lead abilities. Interesting to note, Scoia'tael ability. This is actually some really good intel. In The Witcher 3, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm sure the comments will let me know if I am, but the Scoia'tael ability is that you get to go first. Whereas it seems as though the Scoia'tael ability in this game is that if you're the Scoia'tael player, you get to choose who goes first, which, by the way, would be a way better ability. Going first in Gwent is not necessarily an upside. You could even argue that it's worse, particularly in certain matchups. So the fact that the Scoia'tael ability is being able to decide is great. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Free-for-all mode. You thought we were done? We're not. 3 to 5 players, because of course 5 different factions in the box. Let's say you're with a group of friends getting together to play Gwent. Why wait to play a round of Gwent when you could battle everyone at once? So you can have 5 different people on a table playing Gwent at once. All the standard rules apply with the following clarifications. With a spy, you choose where it goes. The unit scorch affects every enemy individually. So there's like some cards with like a unit scorch where you play them and it burns like the highest power card. So if I play, I think it's like Villain Tretamurf, I can play Villain Tretamurf and it's going to burn all of my 4 opponents' highest cards. Nilfgaard, if 2 players using Nilfgaard in a tie, they score the highest position. If 2 Scoia'tael players are there, you choose randomly who will choose the first player. And then Northern Realms, if you have a bigger score than at least 2 of your opponents, draw a card. So some definite tweaks there to the faction passive abilities. To win in free-for-all, a player must win as many points as there are total players plus 1. A point is earned for every player defeated at the end of a round. Okay, so if you've got 5 players, you need to defeat a total of 6 players at the end of a round, right? But obviously there's going to be multiple rounds. So for free-for-all, it's not going to be a game of 3 rounds like we're used to seeing for Gwent. It could go for more than that, in theory. At the beginning of a new round, the player with the most points in the last round plays first. In the event of a tie, tied players score the same number of points as the opponents bested. However, ties do not count as victories. All right, so let's say we've got a 5-player game and I come out on top, unsurprising, let's be honest, and therefore I get 4 victory points at the end of the first round. But how much did it cost me? I might have had to use my whole hand to achieve that. And because it's a 5-player game, I still need to secure 2 more points in the next round, whereas you came second, so you beat 3 of the people. You got 3, and in the next round you also finished second. You got 3 more points, then you would win the game for a total of 6. So it could be a 2-round game, could be 3, possibly, potentially could be even more. I haven't done the maths, but I like it. The fact that this is just supported directly out of the box with official rules, like, okay, we could do this like on our own accord, and we could make up our own rules, but the fact that it's going to be in the box as rules, I think adds a lot of value to this product. I'm very impressed. Board reveal. You'll undoubtedly be asking yourself, with so many possible gameplay options, how will we be keeping track of points? You're right. I was wondering that. So here is our first look at the Gwent board. Let's see if I can... Oh, that's better, innit? Let's make myself smaller. No one wants to see me. So here's the first look at the Gwent board. And it's very, very similar to what you might expect. So number 1 on the board here is your discard pile. So there's your discard pile on either side. 2 is going to be where your deck is. So you're going to place your deck here, and the cards in your discard are here. You've got the melee, the ranged, and the siege row, 3 to 5. 6 is where your commander's horn cards will go if you place them, which is what doubles the power on a row. And then 7 is the scoring ladder. So scoring in Gwent is going to be pretty weird for a physical version because the numbers can get pretty big. But this looks like a pretty handy way of tracking the score. You'll have 2 scoring tokens, 1 for each row, so you can track the points after each turn. One concern I have is what happens if you go over 100, right? Like what happens if you hit 100? Because that's definitely doable. That might be one thing that isn't mentioned here, but it's possible within the box they just give you like some kind of extra token that represents that you've got 100, and then you just keep counting, right? Because the numbers in Gwent can get pretty big and they can double very quickly with Commander's Horn, with weather effects. Suddenly your board can go from like 100 to 5, right? So yeah, that's worth noting, but it seems like a pretty good system. You're going to put 1 counter here, you're going to put 1 counter here as well. And then 8 holds the gems, which will be included in the box, and these track the number of rounds lost. At the start of the game, place 2 gems in the circles below your scoring ladder. After each round, the losing player removes a gem. It's kind of interesting. Like usually I would kind of think it would work the other way around. Like I would get a gem if I win, but it kind of makes sense that you've got the gems that start on the board, and then if you lose a round, you remove a gem. That's fine. And if you run out of gems, you lose the game. 9 to 10 are player aids. So this is where you can place unit cards with special abilities. Just, I guess, to show, oh, I'm playing this card, have a little look at it. Everyone can read it clearly so it doesn't get lost in what could be a pretty messy board, particularly if you're playing like a 2v2 mode. 11 is where your leader card goes. And 12 is where the weather cards go. So weather is here. All right, that is the Gwent board. To sum up, every box of Gwent, the legendary card game, will include the illustrative poster. What was the illustrative poster, mate? I'm going to have to see if we can see that. 4 score tokens and 4 gem counters. Players can use score tokens to update their scoring ladder after each term, and the gem counters to track rounds lost. As mentioned in the previous podcast, there'll be accessories for those who want sleeves, and we're going to look at that, don't you worry, because this is earlier in the previous article after all the modes. Pre-orders, booster pack, and accessory updates. Jewels and deck building aside, many of you will have your eyes on the legendary Ballad of Heroes DLC booster pack. As a reminder, these are complimentary foil cards with alternative artwork from the Ballad of Heroes DLC. I'm very interested to see how the shine, I can be a bit bigger now, how the foiling effect of this is going to be. I'm a big collector of Digital Arcana, which has some nice foil effects, and I'm pretty interested to see how comparative the foil effect of these Gwent cards is going to be. By signing up to the No Loading Games newsletter, you get a code to redeem a free copy of the booster pack at purchase. Each Ballad of Heroes booster pack contains 5 random foil cards. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually a slight change of messaging, because I was under the impression initially that this Ballad of Heroes booster pack was going to be guaranteed to be like the same 5 characters. But here it says 5 random foil cards. Does that mean you can get 2 of the same one? I'm not sure exactly on that. But it does seem as though that since some of the initial announcements of this game have been made, that there has actually been a few different changes in how the booster packs are going to be working. So let's find out more. As of writing this, No Loading Games will be the only place you can redeem the code for a free booster pack. You can redeem when pre-orders open around May 2025 at an event or when the game launches later this year. Please note that only the English version will be available on No Loading Games, and it will be shipped from our NA or EU warehouse. So if you want to get your hands on the free booster pack, there'll be a link in the description so you can sign up to the newsletter, which I already have. Some of our distributing partners have already opened pre-orders. If you have pre-ordered through your local gaming store but want the legendary Ballad foil cards, you have two options. You'll be able to buy a 10 foil card add-on pack by faction, through your local game store, or you can redeem your code for a 5 foil card random booster pack at No Loading Games when purchasing other items in our store or at an event. This leads us to our final and most exciting update for today's blog. We're working with CD Projekt Red to finalize several types of accessories, including high quality neoprene playing mat, branded faction card sleeves, I hope they're good quality, and the legendary Ballad of Heroes foil card packs previously mentioned. These accessories will be available on our site later this year and all retailers around the world, but plan accordingly if you want to make use of the booster pack redeeming code. All right, so suddenly my new card back of choice is going to be, rather than these, which are worth quite a lot of money, my new card back of choice is going to be a Northern Realms. It's going to be a Monsters. In whatever card game I am playing, I want Gwent themed sleeves on my deck from now on. I just do. So let's try and unpack this a little bit more about what's going on with the booster packs, because it's a little bit confusing if you ask me. So the legendary Ballad of Heroes DLC booster pack, which is here, which on it says 5 legendary foil cards. These are complimentary foil cards with alternative work from Ballad of Heroes, which is like these 5 cards. I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed. I'm pretty sure. And you can get it for free if you sign up to No Loading Games newsletter. But there is also now announced to be, but it does say random somewhere as well, doesn't it? I feel like the wording was a little bit weird on that. Yeah, 5 random foil cards. The word random's throwing me off. I believe that it's going to be 5 like this pack, the 5 legendary foil cards, is going to be the Ballad of Hero DLC artworks, which I am so excited for. Like, it would be weird if you get 2 Geralts. You would just want one of each, right? I would imagine that pack is just one of each. I'm pretty sure previous messaging stated that. However, that's not guaranteed because the word random is kind of throwing me a little bit there. Let me know in the comments. But there's new news that you'll be able to buy a 10 foil card add-on pack by faction. Wow. So I can buy a Northern Realms booster pack, and it's going to be foil versions of the cards. So if you want to get foil versions of the cards, you can buy booster packs as an extra add-on. And honestly, it makes sense, right? Like, if you think about card games, TCG games, how do they make money? They sell packs. Well, this is different. This isn't a board game experience, but for the real collectors out there, if you want to get foil versions of all your cards and own an awesome, completely foil collection, you are now going to be able to do that by buying these packs and trading. And I personally think that's a W. I really, really do. It's an optional, it's like a cosmetic add-on, but I want a full foil set of Gwent, the legendary card game. I just do. So you're going to be able to buy 10 foil card add-on pack by faction, but then you can also redeem for a 5 foil card random booster pack. See, I'm still a bit confused because initially, complimentary foil cards. Okay, I think I've cracked it. These are complimentary foil cards, which I think you get. Complimentary, I think you just get these. So this is going to be in the box. All right, I finally cracked it. In the box, it seems like you're going to have this. The messaging changed on this at some point. So this will be in the box. That makes sense. But then the No Loading Games free booster pack is going to be a random 5 foil card booster pack. And then you'll also be able to buy a 10 foil card add-on pack by faction. We got there eventually, guys. So it seems as though these cards are in the box. And then if you want more foil cards, you can buy individual packs. All right, let's look at what some of the comments have. Yeah, it seems like people also a bit confused about this. Thanks for the article, looks great. We release it in German. Not many answers there. The other thing that we didn't quite get to the bottom of was the poster. I guess, is the poster perhaps just the board? Was the poster perhaps just the board? Illustrative poster. Is this the illustrate? No, that's the board counter. Is this an illustrative poster? Yeah, the poster board. Okay. Poster board. So to sum up, it'll include a poster board. So it looks as though the board you're getting is just a poster, and it's not necessarily going to be... You would imagine you're going to get like this actual board as well, right? That's throwing me a bit. I'm pretty sure it's not. This is not a paper board they're playing on. I'd be shocked if you're going to get a board. It seems like this is a poster, right? So you're going to get the board, I think, and you're going to get a poster over the board as well. That would make a lot of sense to me, right? All right, guys, that is all the details. A bit messy towards the end, but hopefully that gives you a clear indication of exactly what you can expect for Gwent, the legendary card game. And I already mentioned it, but make sure you subscribe because I'm going to be playing the daylights out of this game. I'm so excited. Can you tell? All right, guys, thank you so much. Here's one of my Gwent posters. See you all very soon for more Gwent, the legendary card game content. Oh, yeah. I'm excited.